Good afternoon. Today on Business Success in Six with Stacie, I have Matt Brueggemann here from Flux Mopeds in Madison, Wisconsin. Matt, thanks for jumping on with me.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, how this is going to work, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you 6 questions about Flux Mopeds, and you get to share that with our clients in our community. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. First question is, when people ask you what Flux Mopeds does, how do you describe it?
Flux Mopeds produces small electric vehicles for short distance transportation. Our flagship is the Flux EM1, which is an electric moped, tops out at 38 miles an hour and gets up to 50 miles per charge.
Wow, that's incredible. So, what were your plans when you started your business and how have they changed? I know you have some history behind why you started the business too. So, I'd love for you to share all of that with us.
Certainly. Yeah, so I went to the University of Wisconsin at Madison and graduated with a degree in Chinese and International Studies and moved to China. Lived there for a number of years and saw the world from a different perspective and thought that all the small electric vehicles on the road, specifically electric mopeds, that there was a way to introduce those vehicles to the United States in a way that would be beneficial to the community and to individuals. And we saw that as an opportunity, and that was the way it started. It was friend of mine that we went to university together, and we said we can do this, and that was it.
That's so cool. So, now you are specifically working with RV customers, right? Could you share a little bit
That's right.
more about that?
So, so we've been working on this a number of years, and we launched a beautiful um, uh, uh, storefront location on Willie Street, very close to the Capitol of Madison. We had a number of people come in. They would test the vehicle. They really enjoy the vehicle, and the conversations always ended the same. They always ended, "This is great for Madison. We really need less cars. Be better for parking. Congratulations on your business." They give us a pat on the back and they leave, and we did hundreds of those. And then we started to notice a pattern of people coming in and buying, and it tended to correlate with RVers, and they were using the vehicle because a lot of RVs, especially motorhomes, but all types of RVs, have a real difficulty getting around short distance transportation, getting
Mhm.
around short distances around the campground in a town for practical reasons and for fun reasons. And so when we were talking with people in Madison, although they understood that it doesn't make sense to drive a 4,000 pound vehicle a mile to get a quart of milk, and that maybe having 6 cards for a family of 6, or the outrageous cost of insurance doesn't make sense,
Sure.
trying to get somebody to pay money for a vehicle to solve that problem is very was it they didn't understand the concept of short distance transportation. But
Sure.
for RVers, they really got it, and we offer a solution that solves a problem for people, and that's why we've had success in that area.
Very, very neat. So, what is the biggest way you impact the community? Obviously, besides lowering the amount of gasoline that people need to use. Can you share a little more?
Well, in the RV community, that's kind of how we pay the bills, and we build a package that solves problems for people, or local ride packages based on what type of RV a person has. But
Mhm.
in the long run, we do want to focus on the residential community, and we do want what we do want to do. We have had projects that we're working on with residential buildings, as well as working with high school families,
Mhm.
to really not only lower the cost but lower the pressure of life. When I
Mhm.
was growing up, for 3 people, we had 3 Chevrolet Tahoes.
Wow.
Gas, when I graduated from high school, I'm aging myself, gas was 97 cents a gallon.
Sure.
And not only that, I asked my dad, insurance was, I think it was only like $40 a person. It was very inexpensive.
Mhm.
And now it is really hard. My cousin, her kid is now 16. He doesn't have a driver's license yet. It's difficult to get a car and whatnot. And so she typically has to go back and forth to the high school 4 times a day, just
Yes.
to manage. And that's tough for people. And there should be a middle ground for high schoolers and for young people before buying a car. And because, I mean, do you really want to have your kid, 16-year-old kid, to have the ability to go 95 miles an hour? And I know I made a mistake. There was no problem. It was improper traffic. Didn't really understood how to pass on a two-way run, and I went over past and did something really dumb. It ended up being okay, but I
Mhm.
did get a ticket,
Mhm.
and there are better ways for kids to get around short distances. So I think that's what we can really do to help benefit the community is to provide, a creative solution to that problem.
That is definitely a creative solution. And when I think about it, yeah, you're lowering insurance costs, you're lowering emissions, you are easing parents for, I have a 19-year-old, 16-year-old, and 11-year-old, and it sure would be nice for them to just go back and forth and know that they're safe, they're not riding too fast. So that's all. And even when you think about parking spaces, there's more space to park more mopeds, and that whole footprint like can be compacted. So
That's exactly right. Six vehicles to a car, six Flux EM1s to a parking
wow.
space for a car. And you are right that when high schools are developed, a lot of them were developed in the 70s and the 80s, and there are huge parking concerns. I mean, we can be in, for example, Oregon, Wisconsin, and driving by, and it's just a normal high school, and there's cars parked down the block. It wasn't built for this, and you can't just put all of that on the taxpayer and say, okay, well, every 10 years we're going to add another floor. That's not practical. And so there are solutions that are safe, that are fun, and that
Mhm.
are ways to help, to help people.
Very, very interesting. Huge impacts on the community and huge impacts on the community to come too. So what is one
Yes.
challenge that you have faced that other business owners could learn from?
Well, like I said before we went on air,
Mhm.
we basically accomplished two things. And in the accomplishment of two things, we built the Flux EM1 to be the reliable, awesome vehicle that it is. The second thing that we did was we really built the marketing strategy,
Mhm.
and that aspect of marketing, not necessarily as I think a lot of people sometimes with social media it can seem like a bit of a hoodwink, like you're trying to get a fast one on people. But
Mhm.
the sense of that what we're doing is we're solving problems, and to look at marketing from offering creative solutions to people, I felt from a sales perspective really really helped me in understanding is what the role of marketing was. And that element I think was a real lesson. It took a long time to learn, but I think that's something that could potentially have helped me, if I had known that earlier.
Absolutely. I think you bring up a really important point that marketing and sales is not a bad thing. And when you
No.
offer that solution, like everybody is truly in sales in some way or another, they're offering a product, a service, a solution. And to get over that hump sooner is really going to help business owners. So thank you so much for bringing up that challenge. It's very, very, very relevant to all businesses.
And another thing is that oftentimes, especially when we were in our first iteration and we had that storefront, we would talk about the vehicle too much. We
Mhm.
wouldn't we wouldn't talk about the benefits to a
Mhm.
person and to understand, for example, you mentioned a lot of things about emissions. A common family doesn't feel the impacts of emissions. It's important, but they don't feel it. But they feel insurance, right?
Yes.
That's that's insanely expensive. You don't have to sell anybody on insurance because they know that because they look at their bank account. And so understanding that dynamic and understanding to talk to people in their language, that was something that took a really long time.
Absolutely. That's very, very important, though. The next question I have for you, what does the future look like to you? I know you're in the RV niche and you definitely want to grow. What does the future look like to you? And do you have an exit plan?
Yes, so we need to keep, I say keep the lights on, but the focus of this business is to maintain independence. We have um there are a lot of competitors that we have, but most
Mhm.
of them are in spaces like sharing. And we have learned and found that people are most interested, even today, in individual ownership. And so our focus is in sales, and to provide a solution to people, especially in the RV space. We sell
Mhm.
packages. So we don't just sell a single vehicle. We sell a way to haul the vehicle, and then also all of the accessories that would help a person and make sure that from the first day they start, they're getting the experience that they need, as opposed to finding something that maybe doesn't really exactly meet their needs.
Absolutely.
So that's what works for us in the RV space. We want to grow within the RV space and then look at the residential market, potentially the high school market, as
Mhm.
well as um, um, providing short distance transportation as a service, potentially to apartment buildings. And then once that beta or model is developed,
Mhm.
we would look to sell the business.
Awesome. All
That's
great
our exit.
plans. So the last question I have for you is all subjects open. What inspires you most?
Just, I think that there's a better way. I mean,
Mhm.
I think that there's a better way to get around short distances. I think that, you know, oftentimes, uh, especially when small electric vehicles are relatively new, there are a lot of businesses that are developed that do not have the consumer and the user in mind.
Mhm.
Sharing is a great example of this. I mean, we have a client who purchased who was a member of the Revel group. It's not sharing. You're borrowing from billionaires. That's what you're doing.
Sure. Sure, sure, sure.
And they charge per minute, okay, 57 cents a minute. And so in this element of usage, she spent over $5,000 in 6 months of usage. So that's an entire two battery, our most expensive package, in 6 months of usership, and obviously she used it the entire year. That is like a check cashing service. That's a scam.
Mhm.
And it's what we want to do, and what I'm passionate about is solving the problem. That doesn't solve anybody's problem.
Sure.
That's just robbing from people.
It's
And what
rich
I want
people
to
rich.
do Exactly. What I want to do is I want to introduce small electric vehicles, introduce electric vehicles, but specifically small electric vehicles to people in a way where they understand its value. They
Mhm.
understand its value. And then in individual ownership, I think that can change the way people view the world, way people get around in a positive way. And that is what drives me.
That's awesome. So if somebody wants to drive your Flux moped, how would they get in touch with you or the business?
Please visit our website, www.fluxmopeds.com, or give us a call at 608-620-3589.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for solving this problem and being so conscious of what people truly need and sharing that.
It's a labor of love.
Love it, Matt. Well, good luck this year. It sounds like great things are
Thank you.
happening, and we look forward to sharing your business.
Be in touch with you, and I thank you very much for inviting me on your program.